Welcome to Dashboard Server 7.0, sleeker, smarter and simpler. So I'm Kevin Roast and I'm the principal engineer on the Dashboard Server product. And today I'm going to take you through our exciting new release and some of the features and improvements that we've made to it. So one of the main things that we really tried to tackle this time around for a big release was to make a big sweep across the application and improve product consistency between our two applications, so both the Dashboard Server product and the cloud product. And we've tweaked the color palette, we've improved graph clarity, and across the whole application, we've looked at things like form elements, buttons, selection lists, panels, scroll bars, and so on, and tried to make them more modern, bolder, and easier to use, so easier to click, easier to see, and again, consistent between our two products. And we've done that across both light and dark theme, which I will show you later. And kind of continuing on in that theme, we've looked at some of the areas of the app that needed modernization. So some areas that perhaps hadn't had any love for quite a while, and we tried to give those areas a lick of paint and improve them. One of the areas in particular is the perspective ribbon, so the strip you see across the top of the screen when you are working in drill downs, and also in the system page. And in the system page in particular, we've completely redesigned that, so it's now a categorized list of options rather than one big cluttered list. And across that area as well, and across the whole app, we've tried to improve styling around tables, grids, buttons, and so on to kind of give that whole area a more modern look. We've improved the keyboard access across the app as well to make it easier to use with just keys. But the real kind of step change we think to improve usability for our customers is the new vertical navigation bar. So this is all about two sort of major things that we wanted to do to improve the app, which was to recover that vertical space at the top of the app, which is so important. So on a modern widescreen that most screens are today, then that vertical space is very important. So we wanted to reclaim that, where previously we would have had quite tricky to use menus at the top that took up quite a bit of space and were a little fiddly when you had large structures. So in particular, where we've seen customers have multiple nested folders, so 3 or 4 nested folders, trying to navigate those menus is very tricky. So we wanted to solve that problem as well. And in doing so, we've created the new vertical navbar, which I think is now much easier to see those structures. It's much easier to navigate. And you can also perform a number of actions in line you couldn't do before. So you can create folders, create dashboards directly in line of any folders that you have permissions to without actually navigating to them, which is really powerful. And we've also kind of improved that area where, from a visibility point of view, we've now show folders when they have permissions with a different icon. So it's easier to see when permissions are applied to a folder. And that whole area, we've really tried to put a whole load of similar things together that make sense. So the favorites menu, the system menu, they're all in there together as well in that vertical area. So everything you use to navigate or move around the app is in that same area. And if you're thinking, well, you've given us back the space at the top of the screen, but what about that space we've lost with the vertical navigation now? Well, you can also collapse it. So the system will remember whether you've collapsed that menu, but also you've got full access while it's collapsed to your favorites menu, to search, and to the system menu. I'll show you all those in the demo later. And another set of items I'll be showing in the demo are things we've built specifically on customer request this time. We always try and do that in our releases to make sure that we tackle a number of high ticket items that are specifically customer requested. This time round, we did some particular ones within our sort of graphs and time series tiles. So line graphs, column graphs, you can now sort the legend, which was a heavily requested feature. You can modify the metric instance query by inverting it, which might sound confusing, but I'll show you that in the demo later. And we've significantly improved the way that you can find tasks in the app. So we've seen customers with big lists of SCOM tasks, and it's quite hard to find them in a drop-down list. And now we've got a improved search user experience instead. So if you know the task you're looking for, it's much easier to find from a large list of tasks. And finally, we also allowed users to modify values that are going to be displayed back from metrics in graphs. So this means where previously, if you didn't have control, say, of the data that your data source was returning, and say the values needed massaging in some way, perhaps multiplying or dividing before they were the correct value to display, you can now do that. So let's move on to the demo, and I'll show you those features. So straight away you can see the new colors and the vertical navigation bar, and up here at the top of the screen you can see all that space that's now available to you that was previously hidden by menus. Hopefully immediately you can see how much easier it would be to view and navigate large structures. If I open up some folders here, if I navigate round to items, it's immediate. It's actually slightly quicker than the previous using menus at the top to draw dashboards now. So yeah, clicking around is much quicker. Creating structures is now quicker. You can create structures in line, dashboards and folders under any folder that you have currently visible, as long as you've got permissions to do so. We now show folders with permissions with a different icon, like I mentioned earlier. So it's that's visible within that navigation bar. Search and favorites are all here and accessible within this navigation bar, so you can find servers, for instance, or dashboards. So here you can see the new perspective ribbon along the top, and obviously how fast and snappy everything is. And the favorites menu, so we've really tried to make that a core feature of the new way of navigating. So once you add your favorite dashboards into the favorites menu, you have to get to them immediately from here, and the folder structure for that dashboard will open up on the left automatically for you as well. And also it can be collapsed. So here you can see all that space you get back when the navigation bar has been collapsed. You still have full access to search. You still have full access to favorites and the system menu. And also the system menu is accessible down here. And the system menu has been completely reorganized. So I'll show you that now as well. So the system menu is now a two-level categorized structure, hopefully much more intuitive than it was before. The list of items under each category should make more sense. So things like licensing, named users, permissions, audit, logs, all those admin type things are together. Content, things like dashboards, perspectives, folders, open access is all together. Customization things, including branding, is all together, and System Center related items have its own category as well. So mentioning personalization, one thing we've also done is to make sure that the new navigation experience is themed. So both light and dark theme have the vertical navigation experience. If I, let's say I use search to find a dashboard that has some of those customer delighters on that I mentioned earlier, I can show you those as well. So here we have dashboard. This is a task panel. And previously, before, this would have been a drop-down list of all of the tasks in the system. It could be huge, very hard to find. But now, if you know what you're looking for, you can search and find tasks immediately, even if you had hundreds previously in the drop-down list. Of course, you can drop down the whole list if you wish to, but it's much easier to search. Here we have a graph that shows a metric, which is showing the drives for a number of servers. And if I wanted to show down in this list a list of drives and I want to customize that. Previously, I could show that list here by setting the drives that I wanted to see. So maybe I want to see all drives except the temp drive, so I'd have to list them all out and not perhaps show the T drive. But that could get quite annoying if you had a long list. So the customer request was specifically to be able to pick a number of instances, one or more, and then show everything but those. So invert that list. So here we've now got a list of drives with everything but the temp drive displayed. Another new feature is formatting units. So here, if you imagine this data has come back from a web API or something where you don't have direct control of those values, but you need to modify them in some way before display. So here, for instance, we've multiplied the values by 10 before we display them, but let's say we need to divide them by 10 or something else. You could do anything you want here, any mustache expression, any logic or math that you want to apply, it can be done before those values are displayed. And finally, this is a line graph where we have a number of labels in the legend, and the labels in the legend have always come back in a kind of SCOM order, whatever the server gave them back as, but now you have the ability to sort them. So here you can sort the legend. That's off by default, so we don't modify your existing graphs, but you simply come in and set that legend to sorted, and of course you can sort it backwards if you prefer. So hopefully that's given you a quick tour of some of the new features in 7.0, the new vertical navbar and all its nice features. And I hope you enjoy our new release. Thank you.